But everything about this is bonkers. The president posting his criticisms of James Comey, calling for the case declaratively, championing the case after it's filed, calling Comey a dirty cop, as he did on social media Friday. None of that has precedent. So we don't know how that's going to play out in the courts. A defense lawyer could have a field day with that. The judge may have concerns about that, or it may not matter at all. That's why this case is so much bigger than just about making false statements or obstruction, and bigger than just James Comey. It has outsized impact potentially for years to come.
Welcome to Elected. I'm your host, Luke Radel, coming to you from Smith Hill, where I'm back at WKTV for the evening, and I had a chance to chat over Zoom with Scott MacFarlane, the justice correspondent for CBS News, who, for my money, is the best reporter currently covering the Department of Justice. His work, not just on CBS Mornings, CBS Evening News, all across CBS News platforms, but also on social media. He's totally worth a follow because he has the best explainers, breakdowns of what's happening in law in the courts, which can be one of the hardest beats to cover, especially in a way that's conversational. And it's never a problem having to talk to Scott. He really knows how to communicate and get his point across, and has something to do probably with the fact that he's also a Newhouse alum. He actually has the same tie as I'm wearing right now, he said. So I was really grateful to chat with him about the breaking news about former FBI Director Jim Comey being indicted. Take a look at our full conversation. What do people need to know about this indictment of Jim Comey?
It's a small case, but at the same time, it's an enormous case. I mean, these are some pretty lower level federal charges: making a false statement and obstruction, kind of boilerplate type of federal criminal code language there. And we don't know a lot about the allegations because they haven't spelled them out yet. But it's also a transcendent case because the critics of the administration say this kind of takes down the firewall that separates political considerations with criminal prosecutions, because the president has said he wants Comey prosecuted, has celebrated the charges, and has said more of his political opponents could be next.
Yeah. How often do we see people actually facing indictments for charges like these ones?
Usually, these are secondary charges. If you're charged with making a false statement or obstruction, odds are you're charged with other things too. And did you lie to the FBI when you were charged with drugs or guns or threats? It's rare to see them standing on their own. And this case is so small. It's usually one too small for the feds to even bother with, because it seems inconceivable at the end of this road, even if there's a conviction, there'd be any recommendation of jail time or any major fine. But that's not the point here. The point is that this is somebody the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia personally signed a charging document for, and did so days after President Trump says he wants charges against James Comey.
Yeah. People, if they don't know you from CBS Mornings, the CBS Evening News, or CBS News 24/7, they might know you from your social media pages, where you have a lot of great reporting out there. And one of my favorite tweets from last night that you posted was when Lindsey Halligan, the new U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, put out a statement about this. She referred to I think the principle of the rule of law, and spelled it the way that you would spell your high school principal. What should folks know about Lindsey Halligan, about how she came into this role, and about her experience or lack thereof heading into this case?
A remarkable story that's played out here. Lindsey Halligan, the top federal prosecutor in Virginia, has never been a prosecutor before. This is her first time ever charging cases, and the first thing she did was secure successfully grand jury indictments against a former FBI director. It's a remarkable accomplishment. And the case itself has been different from the jump. I mean, only her name is on the charging documents. That's wildly unorthodox. Usually, multiple prosecutors put their name on a case, and rarely is the top prosecutor one of them. What's more, she's the only person publicly associated with this case now in a massive office. And though it seems like a small thing, they issued a press release, a statement about the case when it was filed. And it was all sorts of different than the normal statements. There was a typo, it was formatted wrong, it wasn't distributed to the normal group, indicating that the experienced career staff at that office may not have had their fingerprints on this work at all. This may be Lindsey Halligan and Lindsey Halligan's close circle only championing this case against James Comey.
Yeah, you mentioned that she was able to secure an indictment. There's that old adage about being able to indict a ham sandwich. Do you think that something like that applies in this case, or what are the underlying facts here against the former FBI director?
Very common phrase, and it's it drives prosecutors nuts because prosecutors think they have to work hard to secure grand jury indictments, and that the grand jurors are not pushovers. Um, and in this case, they weren't either, because the grand jury rejected one of the charges recommended by the Department of Justice. Another false statements charge was said no to by the grand jury. But so far, the Department of Justice has given only the sparsest of information. They haven't even said what statement Comey made that was false, allegedly, or what obstruction Comey engaged in specifically with Congress. They're going to have to do that eventually, and there's nothing stopping them from issuing a new superseding indictment with more detail, more explanation, more arguments, and more allegations. But all of this takes time. The federal justice system moves deliberately slow. It's sluggish by nature. So you measure federal court cases in months and years, not in days and weeks.
Yeah, the last thing I'll ask you about before I let you go, and thank you again for doing this. Um, as someone who covers the Justice Department, it's not every day that we see the President of the United States post a message to his social media site, kind of a direct note to his Attorney General, starts with Pam, and seemed to be indicating that he wanted his prosecutors in the Justice Department to go after people who have been critical of him in the past. Speak a little bit to that moment and whether this is, you know, a one-off or potentially the first in a series of many potential cases like this one.
Now, the president said so much today that he thinks there's going to be more cases like this. More of his political opponents will be facing criminal charges soon. And we know he has had several in his sights. New York Attorney General Letitia James, California Senator Adam Schiff, his former national security advisor John Bolton. Those all could come. But everything about this is bonkers. The president posting his criticisms of James Comey, calling for the case declaratively, championing the case after it's filed, calling Comey a dirty cop, as he did on social media Friday. None of that has precedent. So we don't know how that's going to play out in the courts. A defense lawyer could have a field day with that. The judge may have concerns about that, or it may not matter at all. That's why this case is so much bigger than just about making false statements or obstruction, and bigger than just James Comey. It has outsized impact potentially for years to come.
I believe bonkers is a technical legal term, so thank you for that jargon, Scott. And
It
thank you,
is.
as
It
always,
is.
for coming on and explaining so well for us and for our audience. I really appreciate your time and all the work you're doing.